Our first project today, I am going to be upcycling this cutting board. I'm assuming it had something in here at one time, but I'm going to cover that up. I'm going to paint the entire thing using my folk art chalk paint in the color sheepskin. Then I'm going to be using the new IOD Christmas release molds. This one is called Winter Forage. And then I have Saint Nick. Oh, I'm so excited to use this. I can't even wait. So, without further ado, I'm going to start this project. I am going to paint this, but I'm not going to have you guys watch me paint. So, we'll be back in just a sec. All right, friends, I have painted my board with 3 coats, and now it's time to do our molds. And of course, you always want to dust your molds with cornstarch because it will help to release the clay much easier. Okay, so we're going to start with Santa. And this is a very large mold, so I'm just gonna start pressing my clay down in there. All right, now I'm going to run over this with my brayer. I just want to make sure everything is in there well. Looks pretty good. All right, let's see what we got, guys. Oh, I'm excited. Okay. Oh, look at that. Look at this mold, you guys. Oh, he's fabulous. I mean, I've got a little crease in his nose there, but I could fix that with a little bit of water. All right. I am going to mold some more things. I think I'm going to do the holly and the berries, and then we'll come back and we'll attach our molds. All right, it is time to glue our molds on. Grab my Santa here. This is my Tight Bond Quick and Thick glue. This is the best glue ever. Love this glue. Just make sure to get all your edges really well with your glue. I don't want to get glue all over him. Just pressing very gently. I want to make sure that he is centered. He looks pretty good. And I'm just gently pressing him down into place. I want to make sure all the areas of the mold are touching the surface. Okay, now this is going to be the tough part. One of them did kind of fall apart, so I have this one here that I'm going to try and, oh dear. Hold on, guys. I'm going to need this. I'm using one of these to try to pick it up. I did manage to turn it over, But I lost, yeah, this is all falling apart here. So this is going to be kind of difficult, but I'm going to try. And if I have to piece the molds together, so be it. All right, I'm just going to pick this piece up. Yeah. It's not working out very well. I'll just put them where I want them. They don't have to be exactly how the mold was. You know what I mean? Does not have to be perfect. All right, and then I'm going to mess with this other one, and I'm going to put it on the other side. So I'm not going to make you watch me struggle. So we shall come back and work after I get that on. We'll come back. All right, guys, I was able to get my molds on. Doesn't look too bad. So I am actually thinking, I could paint over everything with the same color paint just so that I don't get a lot of cracking. But I think that I am just going to let these dry before I mess with them anymore. All right, my friends, my molds are still not fully dry. I left them overnight, but you know, my craft room is in the basement. So, it is cooler here now, temperature wise. So, they have not fully dried, but I am going to start to paint them anyway. I'm trying to go for a more muted color tone. All right, so I'm going to try the Apple Barrel acrylic paint in the color Barn Red and see if I like it. If not, then I will use something else. Yeah, I like it. Now, I know these are going to take, you know, a couple coats of paint. And it is tedious work painting the molds when they're already on your project, because you have to be so careful not to get your paint on your piece. So that's why I normally like to paint my molds before I glue them into place. But I did not in this instance, and I'm sure I'm going to regret it because this is going to be labor intensive. But yeah, so I'm just going to speed this up for y'all so you don't have to sit there in real time and watch me take 10 years to paint this. All right, I got all the berries painted and Santa's hat. So I'm going to let this dry because I don't want to, you know, ruin any of it. It probably took me about 45 minutes just to do the berries and the hat. And I'm still finding places that I'm going to have to touch up. But I can always do that after I get the majority of this painted. So I guess what I'm probably going to do is move on to all of the leaves. And I kind of want to mix a custom color. I don't want it a bright emerald green. So I'm probably going to add a little bit of black paint to this folk art chalk paint in the color Antique Green. I think I'm going to add a little bit of black paint to it just to tone it down a little bit. Okay, guys. Woo-wee! There's a lot of painting. A lot of touch-ups. I still have to paint the rest of Santa, his face, his beard, and the fur on his hat. Yeah, this is definitely a labor of love. That is why I said earlier that I always paint my molds before I attach them to my item because it makes it so much easier. I will never attach a mold like this onto my item before it is painted. Y'all, OMG. All right, Santa is all painted except for his eyes. So I am going to use the bottom of this paintbrush. I'm going to make his eyes blue. And of course, then I'm going to make the pupils black. So let me see how this is going to work. I knew I was going to get it on his eyelid. But that's okay. I can go back and touch that up. I just wanted a good circle. Okay. So I'm going to wait for that blue to dry, and then I'm going to come back in with the end of the paintbrush and make his pupils. I'm also going to do a little bit of rosiness on his cheeks. And for that, I'm actually using a chalk pastel. And you could use a makeup applicator or a brush. And I'm just going to see how this looks. All right, this has been all sealed in, and I am going to go around the edges again with my distress ink. Oh. Love, 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 love this. I may also, go over Santa's beard with some silver rub and buff and his hat, just to add a little bit more definition to it. Very lightly. It almost makes him look a little gray. Hey, he's old. What do you expect? Just add a tad to his eyebrows. Oh, that looks great. Look at that, guys. Oh, I absolutely love it. All right, my friends, this next project is going to be a pretty simple one. I got this tin at the thrift store. Very boring things. So I am going to give this a paint job, and then I'm going to add some transfers to it. So I'm going to use the same color paint that I used on the cutting board because I have it and I might as well just use it up because this is the last of it. So I'm going to get this painted. I'm going to put, I'm sure it's probably going to take, you know, a few coats. I'm not painting the inside because that way somebody can, you know, still use this. If they wanted to use it for food or dog biscuits or something like that, I didn't want to paint the inside, just the outside. All right. And then we'll get this painted. Yeah, I like to grab little things like this because I think these are really quick and easy flips, and it just makes them look better in my book. All right, so I ended up having to put about 3.5 coats on this. And I am going to use this transfer. This is an IOD transfer, and this is from the Home Sweet Home collection. And I am going to just put this right on the front. I want to make sure that it's even. Oh, please. There we go. All right. Oh, please, don't stick yet. So we're just going to rub over the entire transfer first. That's the way I like to do it. And then, once I get the whole transfer rubbed, I will grab a corner and I will start lifting up and continue to rub. Like this. And this helps to release the transfer from the backing sheet. Now, just there, you saw that that piece wasn't transferred all the way. I just laid it back down and re-rubbed that area, and it transferred. Whoa. I just want to make sure. There we go. And there it is. Then I'm just going to rub over this with my vellum sheet to burnish down that transfer onto the surface. Oh, that looks fabulous. I absolutely love that. All right, so we need to seal our transfer as well as our chalk paint because this paint does not have a sealer built in, so we need to seal everything. And I'm just going to use some clear wax to seal everything in. wipe off the excess wax. I think I am going to take a little bit of Decrepit dust and put it around the seam down here while my wax is wet. Just need a small brush. A little bit goes a long way with Decrepit dust. That's why I always try to tap it off. And then I just kind of buff it a little bit. Yeah, it just adds a little something there. All right, friends, this final project, I purchased this vase, knowing fully well I was going to upcycle this. So, it is shiny in spots and, dull in other spots. I am going to put a couple coats of shellac, on this, and I'm just going to brush it on. I have, this way it'll get in all those nooks and crannies. Yes, I have this can that I bought because in the wintertime here, it's too cold to go outside and spray shellac on anything. So that's why I bought the can so that I could just paint it on. All right, our shellac is dry, and I'm gonna start painting this vase with, as I said, Apothecary. I'm not painting the inside. I'm only gonna paint the outside. And I can always wipe off if anything gets on the inside where I don't want it. I just want to make sure I get the edge on the inside. I think what I may end up doing is I'll put the first coat on with a brush, and then I think I may do the other coats with a sponge dauber. All right, so I put one coat on with a brush, and now I'm going to do my second coat with a sponge dauber, because I want to add a little more texture to this piece. So I'm just going to go with the dauber back and forth, making sure that I'm getting all of those nooks and crannies with the paint. And it's really very, very simple. Just make sure that you have enough paint on your, I usually put like, you know, a decent amount. And I always overlap when I am daubing with the paint. I always overlap the spot I did right before. All right, friends, this is 2 coats of Apothecary with just a couple little touch-ups. And I'm going to take this outside and I'm going to give it a couple coats of clear matte sealer. And then we're going to come in with some waxes. All right, we are all sealed, and I'm going to now go in with some white wax. I think white wax is going to look amazing on this piece. I don't use white wax a lot, but there are just certain things that I feel like white wax really look fantastic on, and with certain colors. And this is one of those colors that I think this is really going to look fabulous on. So let me just give you a quick look. Oh yeah, oh I love it. Yeah, I think that's gonna look great. Let's see how it looks in these all of these details. Oh, look at that. Oh, I love it.